So, let's begin with our Customer Success Awards. We are at a special point in the day where we focus on your stories and some of the brilliant work that you do. Pete mentioned this morning how telling stories is a great way for us to explain what it is that we do. We had over 70 customer entries across a variety of industries, and we are now going to hear of our 9 shortlisted entries across 3 categories. These are really inspiring stories, but we would also ask you to think about your own story and how sharing these as a community can really help us learn from each other.
That's right, and our first category that we begin with today is Map Creator, where our shortlisted entries are One Alliance, Heathrow, and NHS Fife. Now, Jess, I was amazed to find out that 1 in 12 men and 1 in 200 women have colour vision deficiency. And this is a real challenge in such a visual world as GIS. But One Alliance are addressing this through making their maps accessible to all, generating efficiency savings in the region of £80,000 a year. Traditionally, we make maps of our outdoor space, but Heathrow are making maps of their indoor space, and they're creating one single view of all their properties in what is the largest and busiest airport in all of Europe. And finally, in order to enrich and protect biodiversity, NHS Fife have used ArcGIS to map their entire 130-hectare estate in just 6 weeks using ArcGIS.
Wow, some incredible entries there. And we are really pleased to announce that the winner of the Map Creator category is Heathrow. Please join us in watching this video of their use case.
Heathrow is a very vast world.
You can get overwhelmed by just everything that happens at Heathrow.
You have retail, you have security, you have baggage.
We're dealing with a huge amount of data and requests. We want to be able to do that in real time. There's a huge industry and a huge infrastructure that sits behind everything we do. So it's about how do we start to manage that from passengers arriving to passengers departing.
So using the legacy system that we had previously, it would take probably a good 2 hours to sort of get all that information on.
Our job was to start to look to see how we could bring all those systems together in a manageable format so that we knew the sort of spaces that we were managing and that we were dealing with across the airport.
Now using our new system, I can put something on within 5 minutes.
Single source of truth is really important to me because we have a number of teams that operate within the airport, all of whom have different requirements.
We've got 26,000 units across Heathrow and circa 4,000 property units, which is why it's integral that we have live data within our systems and dashboards. What Esri and Space Manager has allowed us to do is actually visualise that data.
There isn't a way we could go back to the old way of working. It doesn't fit with what we're trying to do going forward.
Previously, our systems have worked totally in silos, and as Heathrow is an ever-changing landscape, that can mean that the information, when it's put into a system, is already out of date.
Now we have SharePoint, we have Esri, we have Survey 123, so everybody can see what everybody is doing now and what the documents are.
Single version of the truth means that we've got the information that is on an agreement, which means that we can rely on that data and that information is accurate and it's correct. We're now fully understanding the impact that having an up-to-date GIS system can influence so much that we do within Heathrow.
Give me 5 minutes to let me show you what Space Manager does and you'll absolutely want to use it. The use of ArcGIS indoors has been invaluable to us to understand how we start to manage space. To be able to navigate around the maps as you're actually talking just saves so much time.
have a round of applause for all of our Maps Creator entries? Our next category is Analytical Insights, where our shortlisted entries are Atkins Realis, Tarmac, and Triage. All new major construction projects must deliver a biodiversity net gain of at least 110%. Atkins Realis are streamlining the complex processes involved in BNG by vastly improving data management, creating more effective workflows, and it's generating efficiency savings of around $300,000 per year. Our next entry is Tarmac, who identified the need for a tool for non-GIS users to empower teams to access and use mineral data in a meaningful way. Having all the data in one place allows quarry managers to harness new insights that have multiple business benefits. And lastly, the Cotswold Natural Landscapes is responsible for conserving and enhancing the natural beauty of the Cotswolds. Triage are redefining the way the organisation manages data for key decision-making, which is having massive benefits to conservation initiatives and local communities.
Those are three amazing use cases, Jess, and we're delighted to say that the winner of our Analytical Insights category is Tarmac. So please join us as we watch this winning use case together.
The first time you hear a blast, you'll be looking, you'll be listening. It's really interesting. It is exciting to see a blast, and there's always anticipation there. That never changes. Geology is very variable. You're trying to understand what happened all these hundreds of millions of years ago, and what did happen can affect the quality of the materials you use and what the quality of the end product is. Maps are kind of incredibly important just to link everything together, so we've got a really good understanding of the huge amount of data we've got.
GIS is really helpful with visualizing the data around you. It even allows for a lot of analytics, so we can calculate magnesium in the ground compared to iron in a specific location. So it lets us see those things that aren't necessarily visible in your normal day-to-day life. We can take data and we can store it on the cloud in ArcGIS Online in an app that lets them see it, lets them take it out into the field with them instead of taking out a giant A0 map, for example.
GIS makes data available. It's kind of a little bit like making a cake, and it's really important to understand the quality of all of your different ingredients. The app really does help. It means we can actually take that map out into the field and see the ground beneath our feet, to look at the blast that's about to be fired and the quality of the rock that we're about to blast, and to see the chemistry, really getting an understanding. It's freeing up potentially hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of information and just putting it into the hands of the people that need to use it every day.
We have to know exactly how much material we're blasting at any one point so that we know how much explosive to use. We have to know where our lorries are on site, where our diggers are, whether it's going to be safe or dangerous. So data is at the fundamental of our quarrying business. So the quarry apps allow us to see a 2D view and a 3D view of what the data is that's underneath our quarry, but overlaid on top of the land, that allows us to see what the mineral content is where that point was drilled. Or we can see the difference between magnesium in the ground compared to iron in a specific location. We're using less fuel, less people going out and driving around our site to conduct this analysis. So the use of the quarry app has actually allowed us to become more sustainable. Our quarry managers were astounded by how easily this makes that data that was once just stored in a spreadsheet available to be seen in front of them and take out into the quarries.
It really helps get the understanding and collaboration working.
We're moving forward. We're moving towards having everything available digitally. We definitely don't want to step back to using paper maps.
The scale of what we're doing at Tunstead and on some of our other sites, it's got phenomenal scope to improve, and I'm really excited to see kind of where it does go with our other quarries and other sites. It's bringing a lot more data to life for us now, and that's been really invaluable.
Let's give our Analytical Insights category a round of applause. So we come to our final category, which is collaborative working, where our shortlisted entries are BIS Consult, North Sea Transition Authority, and the Rivers Trust. Airedale General Hospital has one of the highest quantities of reinforced concrete in the NHS. And BIS Consult are implementing an ArcGIS system in order to keep the building both safe and operational, generating efficiency savings in the region of 50%. Carbon capture and storage are going to be critical on our pathway to being net zero by 2050. And North Sea Transition Authority have created an ArcGIS system to allow organisations to apply for licences which will help decarbonise the UK's major industrial hubs. And finally, in order to mitigate the impact of climate change, the Rivers Trust have been using ArcGIS to collaborate across 50 projects, which is helping both communities and volunteers reduce the risk of flooding.
Some fantastic entries there. And we are really pleased to announce that the winner of the collaborative working track is the Rivers Trust. Please join us in watching this video of their use case.
It had rained pretty constantly, and then the storm hit. It was dark, and all of a sudden, the water started coming down the street. The place was flooded. Other people were up in arms about it. Who allowed this to happen? Why couldn't this be prevented?
Everybody in the wire was shocked by how big those events were. The first thing they would have known was the water rushing down the main road in Churchtown. Obviously there wasn't great planning in place because they didn't understand the risk, and then you have to deal with the loss of electricity, the loss of all sorts of things. So a flood action group was formed, the community came together to try and prevent this happening again.
It's an opportunity for the flood groups from the various communities to make suggestions and proposals of what can be done, and the thing moves along much more smoothly.
We're river catchment conservation experts with a wealth of data at our disposal, and we work with organisations, residents and our local member trusts to provide a wealth of data to improve the environment.
So we obviously got approached by the Wyre Rivers Trust. They did a survey on the farm, and each intervention, either a leaky dam or even just a buffer strip, all has a small value. There's more water being held up on the farm in the dams and in the buffer strips and the wood blocks, which is really encouraging to see.
Great thing about Survey 123 is that the users are able to add a pin to the map, and then it populates it on your dashboard where they can also see the images that they put in for nature-based solutions.
ArcGIS is an incredibly powerful tool. Couldn't have done anything about our catchment without looking at data and evidence.
A digital map instead of just a spreadsheet is something that allows you to visualise the data and really see what's happening. It's easier to communicate and to show the differences that you're actually making on the ground.
To see it on a map puts it all into place.
All our community can tell you what the river level is right now. It told us immediately what the problem was and what the impact of what they were trying to do would be.
The situation is incredibly pressing, and if we look at the data, we're seeing more intense rainfall with every passing year, it seems. It's just an incredibly alarming picture. We need to work in our catchments to help slow the flow and help mitigate climate change.
We get a little financial incentive to have these interventions on our farm. From the Wyre Rivers Trust to farmers to individual people in the communities, we can do so much if we work together.
It's only by having the collaboration that we're actually going to see the changes that we need in the environment. So I think it's critical that we're actually collaborating through the platform.
Please can we have one final round of applause for all of our storytellers.